All right, we're now on item 11, public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make a public comment? Yes.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Madam Chair, Commissioners. Martin de la Garza from Lagunas, New Mexico, representing the taxpayers of New Mexico, the PRC employees, myself and my family. This is a continuation of the previous public comment I provided last week due to the rules of the open meeting of the PRC limiting me to only 10 minutes with some flexibility allowed if possible. Before they start the clock on me, I would like to make a request, Madam Chair, Commissioners, for an extension of time due to the fact that on October the 1st, I tried to participate in an open meeting via phone, and I requested a bridge to be established, and I was negated that by Chief of Staff, Mr. Pino Martinez. So I'd like to have those additional minutes that were taken away from my rights.
Mr. De Garza, as you know, you have made public comment for approximately a majority of the time that I've been serving as a commissioner, about 4 years. And we've always allowed you to take, 10 minutes. So today we would like to stick with that standard 10 minutes.
So the 10 minutes that were denied to me illegally, you're not gonna give me those, or at least a portion of it?
No, today we're giving you 10 minutes.
Okay, so for the record, I feel that my rights are being violated, so.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair.
I do have a question for you, Mr. De La Garza. I had provided you a number, and apparently that number has been changed. I'd like to know if you can address, somebody here can address why that number was changed so that he couldn't use it. Does anybody know why that number was changed? I got an email from Miguel that said that the number had been changed for the public telecommunications people, for anybody to call in when they had an opportunity to speak before the public comments, but they couldn't travel from out of state or in state, but that number was changed. Do you know why?
Madam Chair, I changed that number. The number was set up as a courtesy for the commissioners when they couldn't be here in person. The Open Meetings Act requires us to allow for public comment at the meeting. It doesn't have anything in there that requires us to have to provide telecommunications for someone to call in for public comment.
When I said telecommunications, I meant, I've been a participant, and I meant that telecommunication companies use that number to participate also. They are also members of the public.
Yes, ma'am, as I was saying, in the past, people who have participated in that were providing direct testimony to matters that were before the commission. It was different than the public comment matter. So that is why the last time we tried to do that, have people on the line for public comment, it turned into very disruptive, and it didn't serve the...
When was that last time? Are you talking about when Martin de la Garza spoke?
Yes.
I don't think a governing body can prohibit public comment, whether it's via
We didn't prohibit. He was welcome to come here in person, and like as he does every week, to do that. So we don't feel it was a violation.
That's almost sort of like those signs that were
comment.
there. You said that those signs that were there last week had been there since before your time. Those signs had never been there. They're reserved for staff only. Those haven't been there, but anyhow.
Well, I didn't say that last week, but thank you.
Mr. De Garza.
With that in mind, now you can start the clock, because as you can see, I didn't provide public comment yet. Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you, Commissioner Espinosa, for the very important question that you had. And I don't agree with Mr. Martinez. Public comment is public comment. If he wants to send a Webster Dictionary a new definition of public comment, he can try that. I can guarantee that he's going to be denied. He has, first of all, not even the respect to show that. Public comment It can be in any form. One important thing that, first of all, I like to title this public comment this: a mind is a terrible thing to waste. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, and you're gonna find out why. Like I have said before, my responsibility as a resident of New Mexico, as a citizen of the United States of America, it is to let the public body know when something is right or wrong, so something can be done about it. That is the golden rule for everyone who works with the public officials. I'm applying the golden rule for people working with public officials. Commissioner Van Hol said before, no, it's supposed to be the rule is the one that calls the goal is the one that makes the rules. Yes, it applies the same thing here. The taxpayers hold the goal. Everybody here, the public officials, the public employees are paid with taxpayers' money. Therefore, the taxpayers of New Mexico hold the goal. This is a public agency. Another thing that I read from some experts is that a public comment periods in public meetings are supposed to be viewpoint neutral, meaning that the public body cannot restrict a citizen comments based on his or her particular point of view or position on an issue. Meaning, if I provide constructive criticism, that the other side of the defense is going to take it as a attack, it is not. And the recommendation from the expert says it needs to be viewpoint neutral. Therefore, I have not received that at this commission. Last time I was here, I provided some public comment and I told the commission, you have no idea what chain of events were set in motion because of highly questionable activity that took place at this commission in a rate case and an investigation case that is now in federal court. I tried to give an update. Mr. Michael Smith, Director General Counsel, is aware of that. He tried to give an update to the commission, and this has been almost more than 3 weeks that nobody, not even from the public, have had an update on what is taking place in that case, which has a very detrimental consequences to this commission, because they are, again, scrutinizing very highly a couple of decisions made at this commission back in 2008 and 2010, 4 years ago, 6 years ago in another case. And it's going to cost the taxpayers of New Mexico considerable amounts of money. The Risk Management Division, they were created by the legislature to protect and conserve the state human and physical resources and financial assets of the state. The state human and physical resources and financial assets. Why I call it a mine is a terrible thing to waste. I learned a very good term just recently through a meeting that I had with a highly educated person, and it's the word of forensics. What is the meaning of forensics? If you have a chance, look at it, especially the root of the word, forensics, is when somebody, doesn't matter what profession, does a detailed and inside study of an issue. Okay? And that's what I try to concentrate my public comment, and that's why I asked for a couple of more minutes. And please, if you see highly valuable my public comment after I continue saying why a forensic review is highly important, please allow me a couple of more minutes. You won't regret it. It is free consulting. I'm not charging you any pennies, okay? Why a forensic review of the issues at the commission? Because that's exactly what I call that the mind has been wasted. Not only one mind, but that mind is like saying has contaminated other minds. which is the PRC employees. And I'm talking, the main mind is Mr. Vince Martinez, because he's the chief of staff. Doing a forensic analysis of the problematic here at the commission lately, it takes me to the issues with Mr. Vince Martinez, the chief of staff. He was appointed in September the 18th, September the 23rd. There are two different dates posted, published in different papers. And he promised too many things. Beautiful. He sounded, like a true politician. He was highly, energizing. Whoever listened to his statements, whoever read his statements, said, wow, finally, we're going to do something good at the PRC, especially with expertise. Martinez said it was time to go in regard to his resignation as the chief of staff. He's talking about the previous, because he was also the chief of staff before. Then he said, we want to make this commission one of the best agencies in the state government. Wow, that's great. Please call me. Tell me how I can help. Okay? He said those experiences make him a leader. What was he talking about? Has worked for the Department of Transportation and got a master's degree, and he's a 30-year National Guard veteran, which includes a tour in Iraq. Excellent. We grow as we go. Receipt Uondo, right behind you. The seal of the state of New Mexico. Receipt Uondo. That's exactly. He was growing as he was going. But the evidence in front of us doesn't prove that. The problems at the commission are worse than when he joined the commission. And he had a lot to do with them. He had duties and responsibilities, oversee all personnel issues and processes, enforcement of commission policies and procedures. Sorry, I'm gonna go kind of fast, so
okay.
I'm sorry if, this is kind of a disrespect for the court reporter. That's why I wanted to ask you for a couple of more minutes. Let's have a respectful conversation. A forensic, which is the root of forensic is public discourse to make things better. That's the root of the word. And then it was transferred into detailed investigation of an issue. So, he had long ties with the PRC. They pick it up as the chief of staff. Then, all of a sudden, we start seeing negative things about him. April the 18th, 2014, PRC boss breaks rule, accused of abusing power. Albuquerque, KRQE. Commissioners, there are two commissioners that are calling for the agency's chief of staff to step down after the employee violated a state policy by running a personal errand. The General Services Department Safety Division Cabinet Secretary, he stated, if that state vehicle were to get into an accident, the state will be liable for the personal injury and any lawsuit that might come out of that, creating liabilities to the state of New Mexico, to the PRC, creating black eyes, that he said, I'm gonna try to do my best to not have any more black eyes at this agency. So he starts failing. Okay, he's the chief of staff, he's the captain of the ship. These are good examples of poor judgment by him making those decisions, lack of risk analysis or management. He's supposed to be well qualified for that because he's the chief of staff. If not, he has expertise that he can request some ideas. Now, there is another nice article.
I'm giving you a heads up.
Yes, but please be respectful to me. Those kind of things disrupt the speaker. That's a violation of my First Amendment rights. You never stop the speaker from speaking. Considering the checkered history of the State Public Regulation Commission, according to Mr. Martinez, his 5 bosses don't need to have a say in how the agency runs. Wow, really? Is he familiar with the NAROC membership requirements for the commissioners? NAROC is the National Association of Regulatory Utilities Commissioners. You all are members of that. Am I correct? I think so. So he's not aware of that, and he's trying to violate the membership requirements. He's forcing you to violate requirements from an institution that was founded in 1887.
Madam Chair, it's 10 minutes.
1887.
Mr. De Garza, that's 10 minutes.
Let me have 2 more minutes,
I would like
please.
to hear him.
Because this is highly valuable, and I'm providing a service to the state of New Mexico, to you all, to make things better at this commission.
I would like to grant him a couple more minutes because I would like to hear him, and I feel I have that right as well. I'd like to hear him finish his statement.
Mr. De Garza, we're giving you 2 more minutes.
Thank you. Those are gonna be the most stressful 2 minutes to me, but it will be the most valuable to you. We noticed that some issues with the hidden files in Horst Schrader. He made some statements. The head of the legal division made some statements being disrespectful to Josh Ortiz, which is the one that issued the final order. I'm sorry again, for reporter, for being so fast on this. I requested a breach. He violated that. I provided a public comment on October the 8th, late limit my time, and then there comes the forensics. Last night, I just reviewing the open meeting minutes, the evidence. I don't go by hearsay, I go by the evidence. In the possession of the public, in the possession of this regulatory agency, just by looking at 5 open meeting minutes, documents, I see all the failures attributed to him. Fighting with commissioners, creating a division on the commissioners, failure to update the policies and procedures of the human resources. Highly important. He's a chief of staff. He's the captain of the ship. The policies and procedures that have not been updated since 2004, violation of the state of New Mexico law. He's not aware of violations of some of the PRC employees because they don't have the proper licenses, the proper permits to act as a professional in different areas. Again, a mind that is terribly going to waste and affecting the other employees, because other employees that want to be productive, they are not allowed. He is disregarding Whistleblower Protection Act, a new law in the state of New Mexico. I filed a formal complaint against him on April 16, 2014. As of today, I have not received a response. I can deliver that to Mr. Michael Smith. I'd like to have some updates on that.
Mr. De Garza, the 2 minutes is out.
Would you like
You are
to-
gonna see me again in next week, so I can finish this. And you know, I've been doing this for what, 4 years? For the betterment of the commission, for providing a service to the people of New Mexico, because this is my civil responsibility, as all of you have the same.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Michael Smith, do you have an answer to his request of April 16th?
I would like to I'll go along with the agenda presented. Public comment is for any member that would like to make a statement for 10 minutes. The next individual that would like to make a public comment.
Madam Chair, you are not listening to the recommendations from the experts. The
Like-
public comment is supposed to be viewpoint neutral, and that allows the two parties, the two sides, to have a discourse. You're not allowing Commissioner Espinoza to have a question answered. You're not allowing Mr. Michael Smith to respond to a possible question that I have. You're not allowing the members of the public to get the benefit of a discourse.
Mr. De La Garza, you're pushing the issue. Okay, thank you very much.
Madam Chair, I would like
I'll
my
push it
question
all
answered.
the way I want.
I would like my
because it
question
is in the
answered.
bed.
She's not my supervisor, and I would like the question answered.
This is a public comment period. Is there another individual that would like to make a public
Michael.
comment?
I can't hear you, Michael.
Madam, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt the protocol between the
Yeah,
commissioners.
we're all under.
I have
We're
my,
all under the PRC, and we have plenty of time to communicate here, but we're now on the public comment period.
Would you like me to go and walk up there and speak as a member of the public? I can do that.
Is there another individual that would like to make a public comment?
Michael Smith, Mr. Smith, I want to remind you, you are general counsel for the commission. If they are violating, if they are making this commission liable, you are supposed to speak up. Taxpayers' money is being spent on your salary.
Is Is there another individual? Thank you.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you again for having me. I emailed everybody and I wasn't sure if they had gotten them, so I brought in a hard copy of the complaint.
Can she identify herself for the record?
Oh, my name is Dinah Vargas.
Diana?
Dinah.
Dinah, thank you.
And it was addressed to Madam Chair and Commissioners, but I did not include the Chief of Staff, and I'd like to make a copy available to him and any other members of the public who would like one. Thanks. And I'd like to further state for the record that the internet, I realize that your IT department is on it and communicate it so, but the strength coming over the actual TV is very sketchy. You could hardly hear. And when Commissioner Lyons is on the teleconference, I guess, it's his background noise is equally disturbing. It's hard to focus, and then it in turns makes whatever's coming through the monitors from people at home or the internet more difficult hearing it. And so my internet, like even through my network provider, doesn't work inside this building. I had a hotspot last week in order to do that, and then I thought that I would tap into the Wi-Fi this week, and I realize this is small compared to like the real issues you guys are dealing with and stuff, but transparency within our communities is important because that's the connection most communities have with you guys, with what's going on and stuff. And so it's important that that's made available because I travel from Albuquerque to get here, and that's $40 worth of gas that I've devoted to coming here, you know, for as long as I come or whenever I come. And even on the TV, there's no closed caption. And I don't know how that fits in with the Americans with Disability Act either. You know, maybe that's different, maybe it's not important, and I know it's really small compared to like all these cases you're hearing and stuff, but it's the only way we know what's going on so we can actively participate, support you in your agenda items, or not, or maybe have some information to give. And you know, I've heard here through response with Madam President stating that the speaker before me had been here for 4 years, and it reminds me of as many years as I've been in public buildings with people that have been there longer than I have, like Mike Gomez, who happens to be in this audience today. He had been coming to public forums and equally actively participating in his government for over 4 years, and as a result of that, and only as a result of his active participation, did it pressure the board into the United States Department of Justice report into the Albuquerque Police Department. So public comment is essential, whether we agree with it or not. Perhaps you know, like a meeting, right? So that there's not this huge chaos during public comment, because often what I've noticed is people just want to be heard at the end of the day. They want to matter. They want what they have to say and offer to give to you. You know, it's like our vote. We don't just vote. We give our vote to you. And it's important, you know. You know, had it not been for Mike Gomez going to City Council along with the 27 victims of the Albuquerque Police Department, I wouldn't be here today. See, I wouldn't be advocating, because as a result of the United States Department of Justice report, within the culture of violence and APD violating 14th Amendment rights, I was included in that systematically because of my class, because of PTSD that I suffer from, because APD is known to gun down people who suffer from mental illness or PTSD, period, even if they call the cops themselves. So see, public comment is relevant because it was relevant to me. And that's all I wanted to share with you. And I hope that you take the letter or the complaint that I wrote into consideration. And I'd also like to invite Madam President and commissioners and staff and members of the public to Albuquerque on Saturday. There is a panel board being conducted by the Albuquerque Peace and Justice Center for life after the consent decree. And it might be something that people would like to go to, considering that there is police violence within Santa Fe. And I'd like to know Jeanette Anaya, who was shot 16 times unarmed. With that, police violence is everybody's issue because it's the corruption that feeds the violence. And again, thank you for your time, and I hope I haven't taken up too much of it. Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to make a public comment?
My name is Frank Ortega. Again, I wear 3 hats. ABQ Justice, LULAC, and the Hispanic Roundtable. And we're all here. We don't get paid. We all come up because we've known about Ebola for a long time, only we call it corruption in government. And we mean to stamp it out. We as a group have been discussing what's been going on with the PRC. It's past, and we think it's future. And what we are going to do is we're going to get all the information we can. Through the Information Act, we're going to dissect it, and we're going to go after a lot of people. And it's not going to continue the way it has been in the past and how it was continuing now in the future. So the most that we can say is this was really civil today. It worked very, very well. And I noticed another thing. The cameras are fixed after 3 weeks. Did we do it just by our presence? Or was it going to stay the way it was? I'm saying now that government only works for the people, and it should only work for the people. And we are here, and we're gonna stamp out the disease. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to make a public comment? Seeing none. Communication with General Counsel Michael Smith.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Montoya.
I received a letter, an anonymous letter, which is interesting. I don't usually put a whole lot of credence to anonymous letters, but the allegations were such that I thought it would be important for us to look into and possibly put a line item on the agenda next week for a closed session for personnel matters. I'm going to go ahead and hand the letter that I received, I'd like a copy of it, to Michael Smith. And if you would look into that, and then we could discuss it later. I don't know if the rest of the commissioners got a copy of it.
Everybody did.
Okay. All right, so that's my request.
Madam Chair, are we on communications with General Counsel, or are we on communications with commissioners?
Communication with General Counsel
General
Michael
Counsel.
Smith.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, with regard to Commissioner Espinoza's question to me, I apologize. I was obeying the protocol of the chairman controlling the course of the meeting. With regard to an April complaint by Mr. De La Garza against Chief of Staff Martinez, my recollection, I do not have a copy with me here today, but my recollection was that Mr. De La Garza handed a bunch of copies of that out and vociferously voiced his complaint to the commission that morning as part of his public comment. I have not specifically responded to that. We don't have a process that I know of in place for the public to initiate a proceeding or anything of that nature within the commission against an employee of the commission. That would be purely a matter for the commission to consider in terms of employment actions against an employee.
So you didn't respond to him, not even out of courtesy to say, I got your correspondence? I think that's what he's looking for.
Actually, there was no correspondence. It was a letter, that was a document that was handed, as I stated, my recollection, it was handed out to us at the open meeting.
To
And it was
us.
not just, I don't believe it was just to me. And Mr. De La Garza, to the extent, I'll bring that up, there's a lawsuit Mr. De La Garza has had pending against the PRC for a number of years, which was due to be dismissed in matter CV 210-03703. He was recently granted an opportunity to amend his complaint to add additional issues. So to the extent that there are a lot of these things that he was raising in terms of being denied opportunity to participate in front of the commission and open public comment and that kind of thing, the correspondence I did receive from Mr. De La Garza leads me to believe that those are issues related to that litigation, and that is litigation that is not being handled by us in-house. That's litigation that's being handled by a risk management attorney, Patricia Turner. And my instruction to Mr. De La Garza would be he can bring that up with Ms. Turner. And I believe rather than have me try and short circuit the representation that this commission is already receiving. Nonetheless, what I would say is with regard to the use of the telephone, our open meetings policy, which was adopted on January 15th and is re-adopted each January, provides only that a party to a proceeding that will be discussed at a commission meeting may attend the meeting telephonically by emailing a request to the commission's office of general counsel by no later than 3 p.m. on the day before the meeting.
That's an internal policy? It was
That is the
crafted-
commission's open meeting policy.
When was that initiated?
That was adopted January 15th, 2014. I did review the policy, excuse me, in relation to Mr. De La Garza's complaint, and there is no provision in here in our policy with regard to the use of telephones for the general public to attend or participate in a meeting.
So you're saying that's why you changed the telephone number, because it's for use by a policy for commission only? Or people that are
Madam-
participating?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Espinoza, I did not have anything to do with changing any telephone number. I just reviewed this in relation to Mr. De La Garza's complaint about that.
Well, it obviously appears that it's derived from there, but as long as you're clear, thank you. And thanks for answering my questions.
And again, I'm not trying to avoid answering questions, I'm just trying to do it at the proper time. And with regard to the public comment issue, I know that's, my understanding of public comment is that is a discretionary thing for public agencies to allow public comment. This agency has made a policy decision, and it's a policy decision that's readopted each January to allow the public to participate in commission's meetings by providing a public comment session.
And thus, the First Amendment principles should be honored.
Madam Chairman, Madam Vice Chairman, that is correct. However, there is and I'm not prepared to get into a full exposition of First Amendment law.
That's
but
not
there,
an exact question here anyhow, so you don't have to worry about that.
I just
We
want
know
to
what, you
state
know.
we are allowed to put time, place, and manner restrictions on comments during and public participation during
I
our
don't know what
meetings.
kind of restrictions you're referring to, but to prohibit somebody from speaking is not a prohibition.
Madam Chair, Commissioner, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we're allowed to, we have a policy that allows public comment to take place during a specific section of our meeting. First Amendment doesn't mean that people can stand up and disrupt the meeting by yelling out things as meetings are taking place. We allow public comment to be provided in a specific point in the meeting, and we do not restrict the content I don't believe that Mr. De La Garza's complaint that there's been any kind of violation by virtue of violating his position on viewpoint neutral propositions of his opinion. He's been allowed at every public meeting in which he has attended here to provide his public comment. He's often been provided extra time over the 10 minutes that the commission allots for people. With regard to the, I'll just say with regard to the 1 minute thing, I apologize if I offended you. That is a thing that we do to basically allow you to know that your time is running short so you can tailor what you're saying to get it in your last minute. It's what we do during public comment, during rulemakings. Finally, with regard to the continued assertions by Mr. De La Garza that there's a federal court reviewing this commission's orders, I stated previously, and I don't know if Mr. De La Garza was in before the commission, but I believe he was that day, which is that is in a bankruptcy proceeding involving Picacho Hills. There was a motion there was a attempt to disallow a creditor's claims against the bankruptcy estate in that case. And my understanding is that Mr. De La Garza gave testimony in deposition as part of the effort to defeat that creditor's claim against the bankruptcy estate. My understanding is that the morning that Mr. De La Garza brought that issue up, that claim was the order disposing of that challenge to the creditor's claim was disposed of, and the commission's orders were part of that disposition and were upheld. That court has no power to overturn an order of this commission in any event.
Anything else, Mr. Smith?
I think that's it.
Communication with commissioners.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I need
I'm
to
sorry,
respond.
communication with chief
I need to
of staff.
respond. It is my right to respond to
Yes.
Mr. Michael Smith, so a better
Madam
decision
Chair?
is made at this commission.
Mr. De La Garza, you had your opportunity of public
This is not
comment.
public comment anymore. I am responding to your presentation to the
Mr. De La Garza,
commission.
this is exactly what I was saying about time, place, and manner restrictions. You're disrupting the meeting. You have an opportunity. You can come back next week. You can send something in writing. You have opportunities to communicate with this commission. We're not restricting that, but you did have your opportunity. You were given 14 minutes instead of 10 minutes. You've many times since your termination here as an employee have come before this commission and voiced complaints against this commission, always under the guise that it does not relate to your termination as an employee, but the underlying issue in all of your complaints is that you want to get your job back. And
I wanna get my life back.
we had a 3-hour discussion.
I want to get my family's life back.
That's fine,
I want
but
to
I
fight
don't
corruption
believe,
at any level.
you said once before that your family said, why don't you give it up, Martine?
I'm gonna sit down because, this is a one-sided, this discussion is not in the public interest, so I'm gonna let Mr. Michael Smith.
Martine,
go
if
back
you
to-
wish, I
to
will
the-
meet with
some
you again and
definitions
spend
about
another 3
being
hours.
fair, just and fair.
Hey, that's enough from both of
Commissioner
you.
Montoya.
Madam Chair, I just want to go back to what I had handed you as far as the, will you please put that on the agenda? for
Yes, I will.
next- Thank you.
Communication with chief of staff, Vince Martinez.
Madam Chair, Commissioners,
I'm
if,
sorry, Commissioner Montoya, do you have?
I do, but go ahead.
as we look towards the end of the year, the Wednesdays prior to Christmas Eve is on a Wednesday, New Year's Eve is on a Wednesday, and of course that Wednesday before Thanksgiving, just something to think about, maybe we discuss next week, if you want to move those back to a Tuesday each time. I think that the workload is enough that I'm not sure we want to cancel anything, but we might think about moving them, a couple of those, at least the ones in December, maybe to Tuesday or Monday of that week. Just a thought.
Madam Chair,
Other than that, that's all I have, Madam Chair.
I'd like to ask Chief of Staff Martinez if he addressed the issue of Mr. Lopez and the issue of the comment that was made last week.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, that's a personnel matter also. It'd probably be best that we discuss that in closed session.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Chief of Staff Martinez. What are you doing with the public information officer position now that Arthur Bishop has resigned?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we hope to advertise that in the Albuquerque Journal this weekend. And then once we receive applications, review those applications and then get with the commission to see how you would, my recommendation would be that I review them or a committee reviews them. We get the top 3 candidates and I'll bring them forth with a recommendation to the commission for your action, since it is an exempt employee position.
What is the deadline for any candidates to submit their requests?
We'll probably give a deadline till the end of the month, October 31st, right in November 1st.
And then the first week in November, you will let us know the status and you'll get direction from the commissioners?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's my question. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Martinez?
Actually, yes. On the same topic of the incident that occurred last week with the comments that were made and the language that was used, I myself submitted an email to the Chief of Staff, and to this day I have not heard a response on this same topic. Not even a courtesy response to say, yeah, I got your message, I'm working on it, it's a personnel matter. But I too have the same concerns about how we were going to handle how a member of the public was treated by a member of staff. And so I know you got the email, but I haven't heard back from you.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Espinosa, as I just stated, we can talk about that in public in the closed session next week.
I don't think I want to wait that long to see why you haven't responded to my request. And I followed the chain of command that you so admire, and I sent it through HR.
I'm not sure the HR is in the chain of command from you to me. That should have come to me if we're talking chain of command. But no, I'm in the process of reviewing it. I also got an email from Commissioner Hall, so it's under review.
And you'll get back to us whenever, right?
No, I hope to get back to you next Wednesday.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments from Mr. Martinez? If not, is there a motion to
Well,
adjourn?
actually, no, we're not on, we haven't gone
Oh,
to communication.
Communication with commissioners.
Go ahead, Commissioner Hall. Did you have, go ahead, go first on communications from commissioners?
Oh, go ahead.
Or you were ready to adjourn?
No, yeah, I was ready.
You're ready to go. I have several issues that I'd like to bring up. One is a discussion I've had with Miguel Lujan, and I still haven't gotten a response from Wednesday, September 17th, and today we are October 15th, a month later. I verbally requested and had a conversation as to how we were going to proceed with the specific requests made publicly in 2 commission meetings by Commissioner Montoya, who wanted to know who in particular had printed and provided a timesheet to a reporter. She asked that the printers, etc., be searched for the culprit. I then asked you that day to get back to me on how you were going to address this, because I felt that it might have been handled via NIPA request and not by just one commissioner. And this correspondence went back and forth between you and I was hoping you could address it, or your boss, you eyes open, could address it. This is basically, to me, a public information request, and again, should be handled in a manner consistent with policy. I also discovered that, I learned that as part of a separate external investigation, that the same topic has come up and is being used as a tool by the investigator to research this same information, which I find to be highly inappropriate. This is coming at a huge expense to taxpayers, and yet we still don't know how we're going to proceed to fulfill this request. So once again, I'm asking, if you are going to be searching computers, printers, drives, fax machines, and/or copiers, and this is, again, my 4th request now, actually today would make it the 5th request, that you haven't gotten an answer from your boss, so maybe your boss can answer how you're going to handle this request.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we handle those requests from Commissioners course, a little differently than a public
Very much
information.
differently. You work for 3
request.
commissioners, so you handle it that way. But I, as you observed and witnessed, I didn't get much respect around here from the chief of staff. So I'm asking
Well, that's
Matthew
just
how,
not true.
it is very true.
That's
How
not
do
true,
you plan
Madam
to respond to
Commissioner,
this?
And we plan to, we have to go through the share system to look when something was printed. That is another topic we could discuss in closed session next
I don't think it needs to be
Wednesday.
discussed in closed session. This is a
On
public
the-
matter.
if there's a
It was a
findings.
public request made in public.
Well,
There's
but
nothing
it's a
to hide.
personnel matter, yes, it is. It
I
concerns.
don't think
a-
so. We haven't mentioned
It
that
concerns the
person's-
rights of a certain individual, so we consider it as a personnel matter.
It's not a personnel matter when you're asking for printers and information from IT. We're not mentioning people's names. That's not a personnel matter. It was a public request made in a public meeting.
And I think we by and large have done
Are
that.
you
We have
afraid to
the
let them answer
requirements.
the question?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so
But
how do
I'm
you plan to
answering the question
proceed?
because I know the answer.
Yeah, we have to
That's-
I
remind,
know facts mean little to nothing to some of you, but
we have
these are
to
the
remind,
facts.
we have to remind ourselves as commissioners and all our staff that works for us, we are one family under one agency. So
That's laughable. I'm sorry. That's
if-
not true.
if-
And
if-
I just need to know.
if you want to communicate with our staff, I mean, you have all that opportunity here at our agency.
I have an email, Madam Chair. I've tried to communicate in writing for a
Well,
month. I
this
just need
is-
the question answered simply. How do you plan to proceed? I'm not asking you, Vince. I'm asking the people in charge of this request. Matthew, do you want to help this guy out, or are you going to just let him?
this badgering of employees
not.
is completely out of
Badgering, I
line.
need to
Vice
know.
Chair Espinoza?
You continue to do that.
Vice
Last
Chair
week you were questioning their integrity as to
No, I
when this
wasn't.
thing,
I only
when
questioned
this
your
thing comes
integrity.
off and it's
We
out
all
of control.
work-
It's
we all work
completely out of
here
No, it's
control.
not out of control. I need to know. If I can't get an answer,
I just told you, Madam Chairman,
we'll
Commissioner,
discuss it next week.
we can print out what was printed on the share system and share that with you next week.
Okay, are we also going to discuss next week, since you put a gag order on myself and these employees, and I'm not intimidating, I'm asking a question as I govern people in this state and who elected me to be here. Can you also explain if one commissioner has requested an investigation be done on me by the chief of staff? Has any one commissioner requested? Because I have a request, an item here, a purchase order that was given to the media, along with a few other things that were given to all the media. It's a purchase order dated back to, somebody obtained this on 10/7/14, and it was dated back to the time that I was county clerk. And it was for cameras that we have at the county clerk's office. I had 35 staff working for me, so I never needed to operate that camera. But we have documents from the 1800s there, and people were sometimes taking them out of the pages. We also have voting machines there, and that's what those cameras were for. And I want to know if you requested an IPRA, because I've contacted the county manager and the
No, I
clerk
haven't.
to get this.
No, I haven't.
Are you again doing your own personal investigation
No,
on
ma'am,
me?
that came to me from a county employee. They, under their freedom, I guess, that they see you in action here, and based on recent television
They see me.
appearances, it might not be as popular as you think you were over there, but our phone rings a lot with a lot of people and a lot of things to say.
You have so
Again,
much
we
respect for
don't,
me that I wish you would keep your comments to yourself.
That's the reason why we don't.
I'm not
need-
as popular. I mean, is that the kind of conversation that you want your,
Madam-
chief of staff to be telling you? Is that the kind of conversation you
Madam
want to
Chair,
have?
Well, this is a public meeting, and we are one family under one branch of an agency, so you can communicate all the time, like after the meeting. But
I
this
think
is-
it's the other way around. I think you're not as popular as you choose to be at this place. And since, you've said I'm toxic, and it's a disgrace how you treat me. And it's a disgrace that the support is across the board here.
um,
And no wonder we get letters. Yes, Commissioner Montoya, I got the same letter. And I made several copies if you already need some, because I think this needs to get out there too, in the public. And these letters are from concerned employees that are scared and stressed out. And they even addressed this to the governor's office. I mean, I have gotten so many letters on you, and I've shared them with you, I've shared them with other commissioners. I think Commissioner Vicente gave back one of the letters to my summer student, said she didn't want it, and I don't blame her. But it's true, it happens every day, and this is the kind of relationship that we have here at the PRC. I work for the public, and this chief of staff does not work for me. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
Move to adjourn, Madam Chair.
There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. 4-0. Thank you.